lager that you boys make. This is the reason, like, I'm sat here. I love this. Crush them for fun. Doing a bit of market research last night, obviously, on the Japanese lager. 5%. Obviously, this is just a graphic, but you've listed a little less. Yeah. How are you going to decide alcohol volume? Are we going to call it an American lager? Because this is as much of a collab. I love Harland. The vibe is mint. Like, even this place is where I come with my family. We hang out here quite a bit. It's cool.
Yeah, that's where we met the first time.
Exactly. The beers are cool. Obviously, we come here as a brand. The merch is legit. But the bottom line is, I want this to be like a Harland equal. It's not me going, this is what I drink, this is what I like.
Yeah.
So is American lager the route we're going to go? Or are you thinking, like, where's your vibe at?
You know, we always want all of our beers to be for any application, whether it's having a beer by yourself or having a beer with a meal or having a beer at a party or having a beer on the golf course or on the beach. It doesn't really matter. Like, we always want the beers to, you know, translate to every sort of way that we can. So I think that what we'll do is, you know, we'll take the inspiration, because the reason we're even doing a lager is because you like Japanese lager, right? And that was the first conversation we had here. Okay, you love it. When we first met, you were like, I really like this beer, you know, and this, I'm here, and you know, it was US Open 2 years ago, and you were drinking it, and it was like, this is, you know, that was a cool moment for me. So like, I think making a lager with you is like, that's what I want to do. And I think that what we do is we take some inspiration from this beer, right? And it has kind of this floral character that's kind of perfumey, and that's where the aroma comes from, and it has kind of a sweet, biscuity finish with some of the, you know, some of the malts that we use. And I think that we can back some of that stuff off and make it just a little drier, a little more approachable, and back the ABV off a little bit, because as much as, you know, it's not only meant to be on a golf course, it's going to be a golf beer at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And it looks, you know, people are going to pick up the can, and it's got some golf themes on it, and if they can't drink it on the golf course, then we also miss the boat there, you know what I mean? Like, we don't want to lead them to a place they can't take it.
I think if you can have a beer that you can drink, you mentioned earlier, like carbonation on it, if it makes you want to take another sip, just to get through, whether it's grilling in the afternoon, whether it's picking up birdies in the afternoon, maybe double bogeys for my sake, but you know, whether it's, you need to sink a few after that for sure. But if it's cruising around, having a laugh and playing golf, that's one thing. But just the heat here and like a real nice day drinker.
Yeah. This thing is going to be good throughout the year. And I think that's definitely what we should go after with the flavor and with the aroma and with the profile, is just trying to make it so that it's good all the time.
So the process from here then, I heard like making a lager takes a little longer than making a session IPA or an IPA.
Yep.
Why is that? And then just run me through the process that we're going to go on this journey. Obviously the graphics look mint. I love the concept of where we're thinking about going. Like, what's the next steps?
So a lot of times I like to do the label first, because the label is the longest kind of lead time thing. So we'll get the label finalized, we'll finalize the ingredients on it, and then we'll order the labels, because they'll take like a month to get here. We'll brew the beer, and what we'll do is the beer will take like almost 4 weeks to do. So it'll be about the same timing. I'll order the raw ingredients, and yeah, lagers take a little longer. They ferment cold rather than, well, and we say cold, it's all of like a 15-degree difference, so it's not really that much colder than we do ales.
Temperature's a big thing, right? When you crack a can of beer, you can tell if it's sat in the right temperature, because if it hasn't, it foams over, right?
And it tastes bad. But so lagers ferment at like 48, 50 degrees, whereas ales are like 65, 67 degrees. So the first part of the process, we'll brew it. The brew day will be like 6 hours. It's pretty, I don't know. For the whole process to take a month, the brew day is only 6 hours. So it's like, we'll finish the brew, we'll push it into a fermenter. It'll ferment. It'll probably take like 10 days, 12 days to ferment. So that'll just be where all the yeast is consuming all of the sugar and turning it into alcohol, and then also consume the oxygen and turning it into CO2. So that'll add carbonation as well as the alcohol to the beer. We'll finish that. It'll be, by the time we finish fermenting, it'll be like at 60 degrees. We'll crash it, which is cooling it down to like 50. We'll wait for it to clean up. So lagers especially, you want them to taste clean, right? That's, as brewers, that's how we describe just like a really kind of neutral profile almost. Yeah. And yeast does a lot of things, and it releases a lot of flavors. Like if you've ever drank like a Blue Moon or a Shock Top, those are yeast-driven beers where all the flavor comes from the yeast. So, and it's the yeast strain, it's the way you ferment it, and all that, it like pushes all these flavors out. Lagers, we want to minimize that, right? We want it to be just as clean as possible. So that's part of why you ferment it cool too, because it's a very gentle fermentation. So we'll do that, we'll cool it down, we'll wait for it to clean up, all the yeast will reconsume any off flavors it's created. And then we'll cool it down all the way to 32. We'll lager it. That's why it's called a lager, is it'll rest at 32 degrees for a while.
Lager it. What does that mean?
It's just gonna sit cold for a couple weeks. So at 32 degrees, it'll sit in a tank and it'll just be cooling and just continuing to kind of clean up and develop just like that really like crisp lager character that you like and that you expect from a lager. And we'll clear it up. Usually it'll be clear by the time, but if it needs to, we'll add some finings to it so that it's crystal clear, carbonate it, and we'll put it in cans.
How
and
did
we'll
you learn all this? How did you?
got a summer job as a bartender, and it just kind of like at Pizza Port, and that's where I first started working there. And they like, to be a bartender there, you're not making cocktails, but you need to know about all the beers because we have a bunch of beers on tap. So I learned about beer, I started to like it, and it was kind of like, well, I mean, you know, let's keep moving in this. And I was the assistant brewer there, and then St. Archer opened, and I was a brewer there for 6 years. I left, and we built this business. And so it's just been experience and people you spend time with, and it's yeah, I mean, it's the same kind of thing, right? You just learn, especially when there is
do what you love or love what you do, basically.
Yeah, I mean, and exactly,
And if you get it right, you're gonna be fine.
It makes every day a little more bearable, that's for sure.
Drinking this makes every day a little more bearable, I tell you. Especially if there's a bad round of golf, you have to sink a few more of these.
That's true.
So look, at the end of the day, I'm looking forward to the next steps. I think it's mint. I'm so stoked to be involved. Thank you again for having us. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait to see where we go.
I'm pumped. It's going to be good.
Chug it.
I mean,
smells great.
To me, there's a couple of different ways. If you're really trying to dig into it, yeah, give it a sniff. They say that aroma is like 80% of flavor, so the nose is definitely important. But I mean, for a beer like this, like we made it to be just a summertime crusher. So I think right now it's like the perfect time to pull it off the line and give it a try.
The fact that I'm having my first one over the machine like this is a different level. It's crisp, it's clean. I remember you spoke to me in the brewery, in the tap room, about it being clean.
Yeah.
And that's what comes out to me. The clean, the aromas, you smell it, it smells light, it smells crisp. It's everything that we wanted to get.
I mean, I'm pretty happy with how it came out, that's for sure.
Top, man. So there you have it. What an awesome experience to see the Know Your Onions beer with Harland hitting the shelves, hitting the brewery tasting rooms. Nick, awesome to get your information on this. Thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to collab. Where can people find this? Around San Diego, right?
That's right, any of our tasting rooms. So here in Scripps Ranch at the brewery, our Bay Park location, One Paseo in Del Mar, or at our restaurant in South Park.
Everything we hit out to do, fresh tasting lager, it's right there, nice and clean. You heard Nick, the onion master of beer, hit on all that. So know your onions and try them out. Cheers.
Cheers.